Hello and good afternoon and happy birthday.
Hey, thank you.
What are y'all doing, man?
You know, I'm recuperating from a show. We did a show last night.
Yeah. How about those moments afterwards, boy? I'll tell you, the day after for me, it's always like A, the body hurts. B, it's like all of your emotions have been drained out, and you're going, okay, how can I feel again?
I think that sums it up pretty well.
How did it go?
Oh, it went fantastic. It was great. It was really our first official show of In Theory, so it was good to test the waters, and it came out well. The audience was pretty crazy, so it went well.
I've heard that about the audience now, is that people are really into the live music scene. It's not about, oh, who's standing next to me, or, oh my God, am I going to go home with something?
Yeah, they were just so, the people that were there, they were just so into the music and screaming after every song. So it was cool.
How did they rock out to Stain on My Soul?
You know, they really like. What can I say about "Stain on My Soul"? All I can say, yeah, the people were just really digging it. You know, I'm hesitant in my answer because I was not sure, because this area is known a little bit more for like R&B and blues. But the people that showed up were rockers.
Hey, I want to talk about that song in the way that I was very impressed with the fact that it's 3 minutes and 37 seconds long, and because that's the kind of music I grew up listening to, and it's not the long songs and things like that. What made you decide on a 3 minute and 37 second song?
It wasn't it wasn't deliberate. It was that's what we felt. That's how long the song should be. It was really that simple, Aaron.
But see, the thing is that what I love about it is there's such an even pace of collaboration in the way that, I mean, you've got Tony's voice in there, and he's hitting that song hook, and your guitar comes right up to it. I love the way that it's like you're passing the baton to each other.
Yes, that's a good way of doing it, and I also think the chorus is borderline. The melody is very catchy. It's very melodic. I don't know if you picked up on it. So it goes from heavy to very melodic. So yeah, and you're right. It's almost passing the baton from a straight ahead rocker, melodic, back to the rocker, melodic, then to something a little bit more intricate, back to that chorus, and the chorus just keeps you humming until you're done with the song, and you keep humming.
Yeah, isn't that what a song is supposed to do? It's supposed to toy with your imagination?
Yeah, you know what? I got to hear the show finally on an FM station. Alice Cooper introduced the song 3 days ago, and I was in my car, and I'm listening to it, and I think there's something with the compression that they do, when it goes through an FM signal, and it sounded amazing to me. Yeah, there's something about this was more magical. It had me humming. I'm like, wow, that sounds like a hit song. More than when I'm not sure, because sometimes you get sometimes too close to it, to a song and to your project. And I've heard it, maybe 5,000 times, maybe.
Yeah.
Your buddy Charles and I have listened to it 5,000 times. And then the way I am is it's kind of strange. I enjoy creating, and that's the fun part. And then once I'm done, I'm like, done. I put it on a shelf, and then maybe like a month later, I'll put it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. So it surprises me, like whatever, when I hear it, like when I heard it on the Alice Cooper show, I'm like, wow, that is a really good song. But there is a lot of hours put into it prior, so I think that's just the way my process is.
I call that fermenting. I do that with my writing as well. You get it out of the system and then walk away from it. You'll come back to it in, sometimes I'll wait 6 months before I go back to it. Right.
And then you go back like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Or, ooh, we need to change it here. Go get a glass of wine, man. We need to change something up here.
Or you hear it and you're like, oh, you know what? This needs this other idea. and another idea would just pop out after 4 months of listening to it.
Where along the lines did you add in Tony's vocals? Because I mean, I first of all, I don't think he's ever sounded this good. I mean, he really is very sharp with it.
Yeah, he's getting better and better. I think he's finding himself. He's finding his style, and you could hear a progression even when we did our first interview, and we did the Go-Go interview, and we did and Tony, it was funny, Tony and I were talking about that last night after the show. And we did Can't Find My Way, and She's Gone, and you interviewed us on that, and his voice was still a little bit thinner and a little bit more 80s, but as time is going on, he's best way I can describe it, he's adding more of a vocabulary. His his range is wider, his voice is thicker, but it's becoming more natural. And before, he had a little bit more of the 80s, and I think I told you in my first interview, I was doing everything I can to pull that out of him and try to get like a 2022 version, or a current version of a rock singer. And now it's just Tony's just nails it every single time.
Well, it seems like the music industry itself is missing that voice, and so when I first started hearing "Stain on My Soul," I'm going, ooh, that's attractive.
Yeah, that's the reaction we're getting. It's like, we've been waiting for this voice.
So now, is this going to be part of an album?
We hope so. We recorded at this point another 6 songs.
Ooh.
So 6 are already in the can, and we're just going to keep writing. What I did with Tony, or my overall vision, is to keep writing. I didn't want to lose, like you said, like his voice is sounding a certain way, my guitar playing is sounding a certain way. The way we're writing is in a groove, and I don't want to lose that groove. So I just want to keep writing and writing. Recording. So that's why we have at least 6 in the can, and we have beds for other tracks. So, but we're not sure what we're gonna do. I mean, I know it's the singles world, but I liked it when we put out the first record. I feel like that was my statement at that time.
Yeah.
And with the singles world, you really can't do it, but it's a necessary evil. So what we did is we re-released 2 singles, and then "Stain" is really technically our first single with this, with our new, our label and management team and so forth. But we haven't really decided yet. I think the music artists on how not to make money, how to devalue themselves.
Yep.
I mean, you could have 10 million streams and make $1,000 or so, something like that. And when we put out the first Inferior record, we just put out the first 2 on all digital platforms. And I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm adding it all up. I'm like, no, I can't do this. So what we did is we just decided to drive our marketing right back to our website, and where people can buy a physical CD and a shirt. And we sold what would probably be equivalent to maybe 100 million streams.
Wow!
But it was bottom line, money, and it goes right back directly to the band. And I think that's the way to do it. So I don't know. It's just a crazy world. I mean, it's being drilled in, to the artists. You have to have the Spotify numbers. You need these numbers, and that's how you get the bookings. And that's and that's not necessarily even true numbers.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, though, I have to give you kudos, because I think you've mastered the art of social marketing.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, the way that you build your songs. I mean, you'll give us a guitar riff, or you'll talk about certain things, or you'll send out photographs of a recent shoot with a photographer. I mean, you play that game quite well.
I've heard that. Yeah, we're very deliberate with that. We know how important it is with social media. as I say, what's the memory? People have a memory of a gnat these days.
Really.
So we'd like to put something out, on a daily basis, but not overkill. Just enough where we think it's interesting. Because there's people that do, 20 a day, and what? After 3 a day from that same person or same group, I don't know.
So now, does that mean that you've jumped onto Threads as well?
Well, what we did with this is we're working with Fret Bar Records, and the gentleman who owns Fret Bar also has a very popular podcast and stuff. So we're able to tap into his marketing. I think he has quite a large following of 14 million followers. So it goes to those people. So we're tapping into the guitar market and the rock market through his avenues as well. So.
Wow. Now, a play on words here, but I know that there's a story. Does your music come to you in theory, or is it a presence?
That's a good one. That's a good question. Because it all depends on each song. The process has changed over time. I used to sit for hours and try to come up with the riffs, and if I have a riff, I would put it on my phone. Now, many times I'm going into the studio with a blank canvas. I don't even have a riff. I just start playing in the studio and hear how it's sounding in the studio, and I start building from that. So it's changed for me a little bit.
Yeah, but to me, that's like stream thinking. I mean, you're allowing the universe to move through you in that moment.
Yeah, well, for me, the other thing too, when I hear something in the studio, it sounds different than the process I was doing before. It's like I already know, oh, that's going to sound good, or I hear a chord progression, and I already hear 10 other parts I'm going to put on it, whether it's the drums or bass or vocally or melodically. I can hear it almost instantaneously when I'm doing it in the studio.
So in reality, you're what I just picked up was you see the music and then you bring the music. In other words, not only do you feel it, but you physically see it, and then boom, here we go.
That's right. Yeah, no, I typically have a vision for it, and then I bring the entire band and the song to that vision. Yeah. Sometimes kicking and screaming, but I do it.
That's you, though. I wouldn't have it any other way.
and your friend Charles will attest to that. I think he's the only other guy. Him and I probably we were just joking about that the other day. That all the hours, like him and I will go and chase an idea. Sometimes like 4 days in a row, 16 hours, 18 hours until we get that idea, to our liking, and probably to most people, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But but we have this telepathic communication. Charles and I, he knows what I'm looking for.
That's interesting you say that, because one of my times in the studio, one of the things that I dealt with was that I'd be dropping some vocals, and the first thing I do is I look up and over the music and at the engineer, because I want to be able to read their eyes. Did I hit it? What do I need to do? And it sounds like that's the kind of relationship you've got with Charles.
Right. You know if it's right by a reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See, that's the part that listeners don't get to experience. They get to pull in the sound, the final product, but they don't get to be a part of that journey.
Right. And sometimes it's things that are not said, and then you're like, ooh, that's probably not a good part.
So what is it about Muscle Shoals? Because I caught an interview with you on YouTube where it was like, going into Muscle Shoals, there's a sound there, but at the same time, you're creating your own sound.
I think you hit it on the head, Arrow. There's something here. There's a legacy here. But now the longer that I've lived in Muscle Shoals, I'm definitely carving my own path. And I'm deliberately not following what's here. For many reasons, and some of it is musical, and some of it is political. There's a lot of reasons, but and I feel very, very strong about, just carving out my own path. I have my own sound, we're doing things our way, not the way that it's been done. So yeah, I think, I'm not sure if that answered your question.
Well, I find that inspiring because there for the longest time, I mean, music was so watered down because it was all about what the music industry needed for their sights and sounds. And, you know, it's like if Taylor Swift went out and did something all on her own without even thinking about, you know, selling records, I'll bet you it would be a completely different sound.
Yeah, well, you know, here's the funny thing about this place. You know, and I understand that they're very protective of their legacy, you know, which should be respected. I mean, you know, billions of records have been sold from here. It's music history, but they're like I said, they're so protective of it. I don't think they let new music in, if that makes sense. And while it's an unspoken thing, I should say, by the old guard or the mid-old guard, there's so much new music here, but it's not being brought to the forefront. But there's this new generation as well of DJs and people that are fighting the trend in a way, that are starting to bring this new music out. And, you know, we're one of them. And there's definitely a good bunch of people that are leading this charge. And, you know, and again, we are respectful, I should say, to what it is here, because it's just, if this town is known for music, and it brings music out, yeah, music keeps evolving. You know, we didn't forget about the past. It's just evolving. This is how we're creating music in 2023. Wow. But let us evolve how we would evolve in 2023, not how we would evolve in 1967.
Have you caught that new docu-series, or that rock-you-series is what I should call it, that's called I Wanna Rock, that's on Paramount Plus, where they're putting the fine focus on the hair bands of the 80s and 90s, and they're telling the true story, the struggles, the days when managers would go and try to just get anybody into a club, even if, because they had to pay rent, they had to have electricity.
Right. I didn't get to see it. I saw some clips of it, but I didn't get to see it.
When are we going to get your story?
Hopefully soon. What story would you like, Arrow?
When you take the entire journey and you put it into episodes, you know, and where you start at episode number 1, we see the early days, and because I mean, one of the things I've always enjoyed talking with you about is the fact that you are in the now. I love that, but I know that there's a journey to get to where you are right now.
That's true, and I've gotten that so many times where, you know, people tell me, like, Mike, you should write a book on your, like, you have to write a book. So maybe one of these days I'll write a book on the journey, but yeah, it's been a long journey. It's been an interesting journey. And I call it the full circle journey, you know, so from where I started and where we are now, and you're right. And we are in the present, and now it's this new chapter of, that we think is just the tip of the iceberg, you know, where the evolution of In Theory and Tony Cabino and Mike Mostert is just the evolution. I mean, it sounds like redundancy, right? But it is an evolution, and it's, like you said, it hasn't been easy, and there's been a lot of people there from, you know, when this journey started, almost like 8 years ago is when we, you know, technically started almost the new version of In Theory. Wow. And but right now there's just so much momentum and buzz about the group, and like the sound is, like, everything is there. And I'm not sure if you saw it, but this past was it 2 days ago, 3 days ago it was, we hit number 3. Nice. Number 3 in the United States on the classic rock charts. Our friend Jody put it up there, and it was the funniest thing. She, because I'm always like, "Did we chart? and in the morning, I text her, "Did we chart?" And I didn't see her email, and then she sent back a thing. She says, "You're at 79." I'm like, "Oh!" And Tony and I were, through the roof. Wow, for our new single, not bad for being out for a day. And I sent it to the local station who's been so supportive. They're called the Big Dog. And the guy goes, "No, you're at 56.
Oh,
I have the real-time chart." And then, I called Jody. I go, "Jody, they said we're 56." And she goes, "Let me look at something." And she explained the way that the charts work. And we actually hit number 3 for the day.
Wow.
When we released 2 days ago. So that was a huge accomplishment for In Theory and, Tony and myself. And I still, I was telling him the other day, I still don't even know how to react to it. I'm like, wow, you're number 3. Like, now what happens?
Yeah, that's right. What's next? What's next?
And it's like, okay, am I supposed to get a parade? Like, it's sort of like, because you've been trying to hit this goal forever. Like, you want to chart. Okay, we charted. It's like, now what? Okay, now, so that's the kind of reaction I'm having. It's almost like a numb reaction, but or I just wonder if it's just because I'm so goal oriented that, okay, I hit my goal.
Yep.
What's my next goal?
Yep.
And then when we did the show yesterday, it was so responsive. It was the same thing. Everybody goes, "Mike, you're so low key," because usually I'm pretty through the roof. And I was like, no, it sounded powerful. It was great. They were it was a very odd reaction on my part. Everyone said, "No, you're kind of mellow." I'm like, "No, we're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing." Like, it felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then, when we played last night, we had this artist, James Nichols. I'm not sure if you know who that is. Mm-mm. He's sort of like if Zakk Wylde and Ted Nugent had a kid. Wow. And he's probably, like, right now, the hottest, like, guitar player in the rock world. He's a little bit more blues based. Mm-hmm. And when I say he's probably the biggest, he's literally the biggest, 6'5", 250.
Jeez.
And he looks like he works out, so he looks like he's a linebacker on the Panthers or something. And but he's he has the hair of, like, Ted Nugent. Is just huge hair. Like, he looks like a Viking, essentially. Yeah. And one of the sweetest guys on the planet. But we did a co-headline show with him, and I'm a fan of Jared, and so it's kind of cool. So this show was slightly different because there was a lot of guitar going on, a lot more than usual. So we had too many notes, but it was exciting to play. And Jared sat in for a couple of songs with us. I sat in a couple of songs on his set, and then we had the guitar player from the Spin Doctors open up for us.
Oh, really?
So,
wow.
So it was a great triple bill, and it's never really been done in this city to have 3 rock bands.
Wow.
Of this note to play. So we were trying to make history. Yeah. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I'm like you said, I'm aching today because I had to put in my 5th gear of guitar playing. Yep. Because he's a great player, and Anthony Crisson, from the Spin Doctors, who opened up, he's a beast of a player too. Wow. So I'm sitting there like, okay, there's no pressure.
All right, mister, where can people go to get more information about In Theory, about the new music, and man, because I'm sure you've got some merchandise too that they can add to their life.
Yeah, they can go to our website, intheoryoriginal.com, or they can go to our Facebook page. You'll see everything, our tour dates. Like I said, we just did our first show, and I believe we're supposed to be hitting the road 3rd week of September. Okay. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. We're supposed to be doing a whole Q4 tour through December. And then from what I understand, we may be doing a European or world tour February, March of next year. Yeah. So we've been getting a lot of offers in, and just like how Tony and I have always been, we're very strategic, and we'll pick what we think is right, the right path. But we are definitely going to be hitting a road. I think it's September 22nd. It's supposed to be the first show.
I love it. Well, you got to keep in touch with me.
Absolutely.
Excellent, dude. Well, man, you be brilliant, and congratulations on last night's show and all the new music that you're doing. It's like I said, it's very fun to watch on your social media, to watch all that stuff grow.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
I will try to be brilliant, but you're the guy who's always more brilliant, but I'll try.
Have a great day.